Slop stories, slop stories.
Slop Stories presents The Waitress by Tim DePaola. Caroline Starbuck had been waitressing at Randy Ted's barbecue since the day she turned 16. She was now in her late 60s, and although she had some terrible encounters over the years, yesterday's customer had finally pushed her over the edge of sanity. It was a large party of 10 that came in right at closing. No reservation, yet they bore a strong entitlement to the best service imaginable minutes before they closed. Caroline was supposed to meet up with her girls after the shift and wanted to tell the party to go screw themselves, but her manager insisted that she should serve them. It started with the father exclaiming that it was his son's birthday and that this was their annual tradition. She wondered why he skipped on the reservation if it was so important, but just nodded without even being able to muster a smile. He then handed her a large 3-foot-long sheet cake and asked her to put it in the fridge right away. She took it, saying nothing. At this point, all of the other servers and busboys had bounced. She was alone in this torture, other than whatever line cook had the misfortune of being forced to stay. After a hellish 15-minute ordering process, she had gotten through all of the members of the party and went to put in their order.
"How are they so far?"
her manager asked. "Dumb as fuck, Charlie, same as you. I want to get the hell out of here. It's been a long fucking day and you've got me opening tomorrow. Maybe you can help me bring out some of their appetizers," she said before being cut off.
"No, I need to close out the walk-up register. Service with a smile, Caroline. Service with a smile,"
Charlie said, filling her with rage. She heard the bell ring and went to the kitchen, realizing that the line cook had put out all of the entrees first, skipping the appetizers. "What is this?" Caroline asked him furiously.
"Care, they ordered like 15 appetizers, but we've got all the barbecue meat prepared since the day is almost done. Just take it out, 'cause I'm going to be back here a minute making these apps," he said unwaveringly. She sighed and hoped they'd just be happy to have something brought out. When she put the barbecue platters on the table, the family began pounding their fists and reaching for the meats, gorging immediately. After dropping off the final platter, she felt a hand on her shoulder.
"Ma'am, I'm really disappointed with the service so far. This meal means so much to my son, and it's a really special day for him,"
the father said to her, a 7-foot-tall man with long white hair all the way to his waist. She glanced over to the table where the entire family seemed to be laughing, pounding the table and devouring the barbecue. "He seems to be having a good time, sir."
"You don't get it, Mom. We come here for the experience. Sharing the appetizers before the barbecue is a huge part of that, and now my family is eating all of the meat, while I am talking to you and missing out," the father said, true disappointment plastered on his face.
"Sir, I'm sorry, but you came in as we were closing with no reservation. You were lucky to be eating at all. Now please go and join your family. The meats were ready first because it's the end of the day and the smokers are off. They've just been waiting to get eaten. You ordered enough appetizers to give our one cook an aneurysm, so please understand we are doing our best to accommodate," Caroline said, absolutely exasperated at this point.
"Get your manager, ma'am. I need to have a talk with him," the father said, indignant.
"Sir, please just enjoy the food with your family. All the meats are going to be—"
"Manager!"
Caroline stormed away. "Charlie, customer wants to speak with you." Charlie sat down at a separate booth with the father, and they began discussing the events of the night.
"Sir, I'm so sorry that you aren't having the experience you were looking for, so we are going to comp all of your drinks and appetizers tonight."
"Not the entrees?"
the father asked,
I'm afraid we can't do that, sir. We've delivered on those, and you know how the world is right now. Meat is expensive, but I thank you for your patience and will personally see to it that you get a coupon for your next visit at the end of the meal," Charlie said with a huge fake smile on his face. The father didn't look happy, stood up and returned to his table. Nothing but saucy bones and scraps remained. He just looked at the trays and slowly shook his head in disappointment. Caroline brought out the appetizers, refilled their drinks and started clearing up their table. When she returned, they were nearly done with the appetizers.
"Ma'am, can you please bring out 12 plates, new forks, and that cake when you are all finished clearing up these plates?" the father said without an ounce of kindness. She rolled her eyes, yet accommodated. After a 10-minute fiasco, everyone was eating cake. She was exhausted. She laid her head down on the register when she felt another tap on her shoulder. "Ma'am, are you really not going to offer us coffee with dessert? I cannot believe the service here tonight," he said, shaking his head disapprovingly. She just stared at him for a few moments before pressing a few buttons on the register and printing a receipt. She handed it to him. "Coffee pot is broken, sir. My apologies. Here is your cheque." Charlie marked out all of the drinks and appetizers. "I'm going to need this split 7 ways, please."
Her left eye went bloodshot. "Okay, return to your table and I will bring them." He stood for a moment too long and then went back. She bit her own arm hard and screamed into it. They finally left, and left the dirty cake box as well. It took her a grand total of 30 more minutes to clear their table again. When she looked at the tip on the receipt, it said cash. She went to the table, and there was a single penny sitting in front of where the father had been sitting. She flicked it as hard as she could. It didn't move, and her eyes welled up with painful tears. Her fingernail was blackened. She reached for the penny, and it was glued to the table. She flung out her hand a few times to relieve the pain, and then heard a knock at the window. It was the father, standing and smiling with pride in his eyes. He walked away. She chased him outside, but he was gone. On the bus that night, she stewed that she had missed the night out with her friends. She texted to see if they were still out, and she got a FaceTime call from one of them.
"Hey, Caroline, you missed out, sucker. We won the lottery. We are all millionaires now. Have fun waitressing tomorrow. Goodbye."
Caroline looked out the window for a few minutes, her mind going back and forth about her friends winning the lottery mixed with long white hair of the inconsiderate father. Her eyes changed colours, her canine teeth grew long and sharp, and she smiled. Caroline was now a new woman, and how horribly sad for anyone who went to Randy Ted's the next day. Caroline seated a huge family, and lo and behold, they brought her cake. She smiled and happily took it to the back fridge. She then barred the doors and exits and lit the restaurant on fire. The guests pounded to get out, and she sat laughing while the flames rose. When the firefighters had finished clearing the flames and debris, all that could be found was a blackened penny, glued to a table. I've been your sharp-of-tooth narrator, Simon Hensby. And now for today's memoir of misery.
No.
You want me to eat the diamond? Peter Pritchard squeaked to the menacing, sharp-faced jeweller. Slowly the irate man turned his head toward Peter, looking him up and down through his jeweller's loop.
"You heard me, Pritchard. Swallow it now."
Peter shed a single tear, took a deep breath, and gulped down the diamond. It quickly caused irreversible damage to his throat, and Peter grabbed his neck, gesturing that he desperately needed water to the jeweller. The jeweller scoffed, shrugged his shoulders, and walked straight out of the Fennel Hills jewellery shop, never to return. "This was all in all a pretty good first day of employment," Peter Pritchard texted to his mother, unable to speak over the phone.